Good morning. The youngest. These days, I describe myself as a messenger of ancient Indian thought. The reason, this physical, Tibetan, not Indian. But mentally, since childhood, we study Nalanda tradition and philosophy, logic, then about psychology. All these come from Nalanda. Traditionally, real teacher of these different subjects are Nalanda scholars. So their writing we use as a textbook. So mentally, I'm more Indian than you. Modern Indian, you see, the education, the materialistic oriented education, which introduced by Britisher, isn't it? So I really found this ancient Indian knowledge is not only ancient one, but also very relevant to today's troubled world. It is quite easy to notice everybody want happy life, do not want suffering, do not want problem. But many suffering, including killing, and a lot of problem due to gap rich and poor. Or these things actually our own creation, the human being. Now scientists say basic human nature is more compassionate. But then why 7 billion human beings, physically, mentally, emotionally, same? Everybody, you see, born from their mother. Their life survived with mother's loving kindness and milk. So, yet, eventually, we see much neglect about these basic human value. Think about money, power, fame, the education, which materialistic oriented education also use, I think, for our emotion, too much ambition, and how to destroy so-called our enemy. Like that. Then religion also now become the cause for division. Christian, Muslim, among Muslim, Shia, Sunni, and unfortunately in Burma, Buddhists, the Muslim. These are unthinkable. Basic human nature, more compassionate. But many problem, actually our own creation. Why? And even religion, which teach us compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, that itself is causing killing. Really unthinkable. So then seeing these sort of sad things, different part of the world, then look India. all major religious tradition exist in this country, live together. Basically, religious harmony over 3,000 years exists in this country. Homegrown religion, that is Sankhya philosophy, and then from Sankhya philosophy, Rikshi Thavakasa. Vedanta. Or there are some sort of different Hindu tradition, originally come from Sankhya philosophy, over 3,000 years. Then Jainism, then Buddhism, all homegrown religion. Then later, the Judaism reached here, Christian reached here, Muslim reached here. And then also, which century the Zoroastrian come to India? Which century? I don't know. Zoroastrianism, yeah. I know Zoroastrian because in Bombay, many Parsi, huh? Very small number, less than 100,000. But very happy, no fear. Among the millions of Christian, millions of Hindus, Muslim, handful Parsi, very happily so remain there and make some contribution, like Tata, I think Parsi. Then because of the Field Marshal, Manekshaw, also Persian, Parsi, like that. So that's India, religious harmony. Really wonderful, really wonderful. India is the only nation as an example, religious tolerance. People, different faith, can live together. So, and then the Indian knowledge over 3,000 years investigate our mind, our emotion. And then they also develop method, tackle our emotion. That's practice of shamatha, practice of vipassana. Over 3,000 years. Buddha himself, product of this Indian tradition. So, I carry, this ancient Indian knowledge. Wherever I go, I always talk about inner peace. In order to develop inner peace, prayer also very good, but not sufficient. The Indian tradition, analyze the mental function, emotion. So therefore, I usually consider messenger of ancient Indian thought. I think conventionally, I think I should carry that responsibility because I'm longest guest of Indian government. So wherever I go, I always talk this inner value. So that's ancient Indian knowledge, Indian thought. So I consider, I always express I'm messenger of ancient Indian thought. Then also, since now a few years, I also mentioning this physical survived with Indian chapati, dal, or rice. And then this mind, as I mentioned earlier, student of ancient Indian thought. So mentally, physically, both I'm Indian. So these days I express I'm son of India. One time I met a few journalists from Chinese, some overseas Chinese. One journalist asked me, why you stated you are son of India? It seems he thought political matter, political reason. Then I mentioned this physical survived with Indian dals and chapati. This mind, you see, full of Indian thought. Therefore, physically, mentally, I'm son of India. Then seems he understands that. So no further argument. So now, my commitment, number one commitment, I'm human being. I'm one of the 7 billion human beings. So on that level, I'm trying to sort of share how to develop inner peace. With inner peace, your health also better. Too much emotion also the problem. Too much stress, very bad for our health. So inner peace, very important. The secular way, I always see sharing with people. So that's my number one commitment. And meantime, environment issue. Now 59 years Dharamsala. 1959, I reached India, political asylum. Then 1 year I spent at Mussoorie, Birla House. Then summer 60, the government of India arranged this place, Sao Ashram, this place, more or less my permanent residence. Now come here. That winter 60, lot of snow, Dharamsala, especially Sao Ashram area, lot of snow. Then year by year, less and less. So this is clear sign the global warming. It is really very serious matter. Usually, I sort of telling my Indian friend, Tibet is actually supplier of water to India. Of course, Brahmaputra and the Ganges and Kasa. Indus River, all these major rivers, you see from Tibet. So eventually, Tibet, within my lifetime also, you see snowfall in Tibet also. Before 1959, we noticed year by year less and less snowfall. So eventually, the supplier of water to India itself now seems, I say, some great danger. Then at least the whole northern India, you see, the scarcity of water, one day it happened. So therefore, we have to take seriously about environment problem, issue. That's very important. That's my number one commitment. Number two commitment is I'm Buddhist. Religious harmony, one of my commitment. As I mentioned earlier, you see, killing in the name of religion is terrible. So, religious harmony possible in this country, over 1 billion populated nation. Religious harmony is there, not newly developed, but over 3,000 years there. So religious harmony is possible. So I fully committed promotion of religious harmony. Then third, my commitment, I'm Tibetan. I'm Dalai Lama. So Tibetan people trust me. They put all their hope on me. So I have the moral responsibility to look after them. But the political matter, since 2001, I totally, retired political responsibility. We already achieved elected political leadership, so they look after this political matter. But my sort of commitment or my responsibility is remind people the importance of Tibetan environment. Should pay more attention about environment inside Tibet. Sometimes the Chinese is without concern about the environment. Simply, making money, too much sort of deforestation, and so on, like that. Then, preservation of Tibetan knowledge, Tibetan culture. As I mentioned earlier, all these ancient Indian knowledge we kept over 1,000 years through rigorous study, at least 20, 30 years study, and the root text memorize, learn by heart. Then each word explained according commentary wrote by Indian master. Then we extensively use debate, logical way. So we kept ancient Indian knowledge alive. And with that, Tibetan language, so before Buddhism reached Tibet, and translation not start. Tibetan language is a very primitive language. Then, under the sort of advice from Nalanda master, Shantarakshita, 8th century, he invited by Tibetan emperor, 8th century. Shantarakshita, at that time, topmost scholar of Nalanda, he accepted invitation from Tibetan emperor, in spite of his old age. So he advised Tibetan emperor, since you have written language, so you should translate all these important texts, mainly in Sanskrit language. So translation started, new word created. So now finally, Tibetan language is the most closest language with Sanskrit word. So we have 300 volumes about Buddhism, all translated from most of them Sanskrit and some Pali, like that. So therefore, the preservation of Tibetan knowledge is actually preservation of ancient Indian knowledge. So that's my third commitment. Now fourth commitment, now related with you. Fourth commitment, since I notice ancient Indian knowledge is not only ancient knowledge, but also very relevant to today's world. Today's world, in spite highly developed material thing and through science and technology, but a lot of emotion. Today's world, I think, facing some kind of emotional crisis, I really feel. So in that, West, just to pray. Ancient Indians of tradition, not just pray, but thinking, analyze our emotion. If you analyze, then it becomes very clear. All destructive emotion no proper basis, just emotion. The positive emotions, such as compassion, these sound basis. Destructive emotion, very much based on ignorance. Now scientists also now begin to realize that. For example, quantum physicists, some now begin to feel if the person who believe nothing exists as appears, if you analyze, nothing there. So those scientists who believe that, you see, their emotion, extreme sort of kasoda, zibba.
Clinging to, grasping at things.
As appears, one American scientist once told me, he himself, you see, I think a few decades he worked those people who too much sort of mental stress because of anger. He found the angry person looks the person who feel to whom is feel angry. That appears very negative. But according to his finding, 90% of that negativeness is mental projection. So long anger there appears very negative. Anger less and less eventually disappear, then that appears something different, and eventually appear a very nice one. I think sometimes, the husband and wife sometimes quarrel. So during the anger there, you see, appears the other one very negative. And then anger used to disappear. Then loving kindness develop, then appears very nice. But the same person, isn't it? So that shows, you see, emotion, this anger is very much related with mental projection, like that. So that's exactly the Indian tradition mentioned that. I think many of you, I think knows or heard the Raja Ramana, Indian nuclear physicist. Raja Ramana once told me, quantum physics in the West, something new. In this country, 2,600 years ago, already developed quantum physics. And he recites some Nagarjuna's quotation, some from Nagarjuna's writing. He quoted, like that. So therefore, ancient Indian knowledge, I think, really, really remarkable. Really remarkable. So therefore, now I really, you see, feel that the modern India should not neglect these ancient your knowledge. And another reason, world need this knowledge. Then who can do that? Only Indian. This knowledge is not alien knowledge, but your own knowledge. So only question of revival. So you have the opportunity and ability to combine modern knowledge, modern education, oriented about material value, and ancient Indian knowledge oriented about inner peace. Now combine. So modern education bring us physical comfort. The ancient Indian knowledge bring us mental comfort. So world need that. So therefore, the ancient time, you are our guru, handful Tibetan, and of course Chinese also. In many Buddhist countries, ultimately their teacher is Indian. Now time come, India should be guru of rest of the world. Truly, you have the potential, you see, to bring inner peace through education, not through prayer. Rest of the world need that. That also, I sort of explained that secular way. That also Indian tradition. Secular means respect all religions, and then also respect non-believer. One time, Advani told me, ancient time, Charvaka consider nihilism. So a lot of argument. Yet, refer Charvaka as a sage. Sage means respect. So that's the Indian tradition. So respect a non-believer, non-religious minded people, or people who criticize religion, still consider as a human brother and respect them. So the way to promote this ancient Indian knowledge, secular way. Some time back, I noticed one newspaper mentioned out of 7 billion, about 1 billion non-believer. So therefore, only Indian tradition way, secular way, educate, including non-believer, promote about inner peace through knowledge tackle about our emotion. So that's my latest commitment. So you is the basis of our hope, revival of this ancient Indian knowledge. Okay. So the concern about the environment automatically come. See, in ancient sort of Indian spiritual tradition, you see picking grass or flower, particularly during monsoon, should avoid. So that also is a sign, respect, ecology, like that. And for example, Buddhist monk, during retreat, 3-month retreat, he should not walk on grass. And
so in the Buddhist monks' rules, during the 3-month monsoon retreat, it's called, they're not allowed to walk on grasslands or break plants.
So the 1,000-year-old, the sort of concept, respect nature, take care environment, like that. So that's my. So I want to share with you.